Well, today's the day that we get a new pool liner installed. You can see all the water has been drained out of it. We're just waiting for them to show up. I'm really interested to see how this goes. I know this particular team that's coming, this is all they do. They go from pool to pool to pool replacing the liners. So, it's interesting. I mean, this liner's been in here almost 18 years, I think, and it's had a tremendous amount of fading, but other than that, it's held up well. The one we're putting in will actually be a little bit thicker than this one. I don't know how much that thickness matters, but I mean, this was very durable, you know, it lasted as long as it did. When we bought this, or actually had this pool installed 18 years ago, you know, the whole idea that, you know, someday you have to plan on a liner didn't necessarily come to mind. But as time went on, you started to realize, you know, these liners can't last forever. You start to see little stains and so forth on them, and you do realize that they are fading. So it was no surprise when the day came and they said, you know, have you ever considered replacing your liner? Because they don't last forever. Okay, well, we better do it. This one has served us well. So I know in the process, all these fixtures along the side are replaced. All the, you know, outlet nozzles and so forth all get replaced. So they said once it's done, it really looks like you got a new pool. So we're excited about that. We got a new pattern for the liner. And yeah, so I'll try and get some video as they're going. Although I don't know that I'll be able to get everything.
Well, they showed up bright and early, which is never a surprise with this company. I mean, these are hard workers and they do great work. Surprisingly, there's only two fellas. And they just started out by starting to rip out the old liner. They just started cutting it up and taking it out piece by piece. So it was pretty, you know, kind of interesting to watch as they went. And since it's been 18 years since the pool went in, and I was working at the time, so I wasn't here to see all the different bits and pieces of what they were doing when they were installing it. You know, it's kind of good to get to see what's underneath a little bit. So, underneath the liner, the base is made up of a combination of concrete and vermiculite. So it's, you know, it's a semi-solid surface. And then the sides, the vertical sides you see are actually fiberglass forms that are put together. So there's two pieces in there, and you know, there's groundwater, you know, comes up against the pool liner from the outside. So you do see algae and mold and so forth that's, you know, formed from that moisture being there over the years. And they go around, they clean that as a next step. And of course, they're also prepping fixtures along the wall. They remove the lights. You know, they put in new skimmer enclosures. They do fill in any depressions that have happened along the way. They seal up, make sure the seal between the form pieces is good and ready to go. So there's a lot of prep they go through here in getting ready for the new liner to go in. And then they get to a point where the real magic begins. And this is where they pull out the new liner, hope it's all folded in a way that they understand when they pull it out of the box. And these guys were really nice. They were more than happy to, you know, let me film this as it was going. So I thought this part was particularly interesting, although I did miss when they were hanging around the deep end. Unfortunately, I had an appointment at the time, so I missed about an hour of action here. But you get a good look of how they get started with this. Also thought it was interesting how they hang it around the steps and the sun enclosure. So I think I'll just put a little background music on here and let this play for a little bit. key thing to know here is that they actually hang the liner from a channel that's at the top of the pool framework. So, you know, sometimes you'll hear the term, we're going to hang a new liner. Well, that's really what they're doing. So it's, you know, a lot of stretching, a lot of pulling, but, you know, they got to obviously start it in the correct location because this is a special shape. So all the dimensions have to work out. So, you know, that's the process.
I'm sure you can tell, but I've got two aqueduct trucks here. So the water trucks have arrived. And they're stringing hoses. Getting ready.
Back from my appointment, you can see they're done hanging the liner. They also have a vacuum set up over on the far side, trying to pull all the air out from behind the liner, trying to get it to settle in as tight as they can and try and get all the wrinkles out of it. I think at this point they really wish they had more direct sunlight coming down to kind of loosen up, you know, warm up that vinyl and make it a little easier to spread. But at some point they started dumping water in. Now the water trucks carried 6,500 gallons each, and the pool takes somewhere around 22,500 gallons. So it's about 3.5 truckloads of water that were required to get this, you know, pool filled up. But you can see as the water's coming in, the fellas are starting to get busy, you know, finishing the edge pieces. You know, they had to put all the outlets back in, they had to put the skimmer housings in, they had to remount the lights, and, you know, et cetera, et cetera. You know, eventually they hung the ladders and, you know, everything you need to use the pool, the diving board and so forth, while they waited for the trucks to get refilled. But then we got right to the end with filling it up.
Okay, we are done. It's finished. Looks great. Can't wait till it's warm enough to get in it.